Okay, there was something I was talking about. I'm freezing, man. I swear it's supposed to be April. It's like freaking, it feels more like late October or something. It's so freaking cold. Like I would have to start a fire every morning. I haven't been doing it, but it's fucking cold. I even got up this morning, turned on my oven, try and warm up the house. It's, oh my God, it's cold. So anyways, I had to put on my little shawl. So, this morning when I was recording, there was something I said, and I think I interrupt myself all the time and go off in another way. But I think I was talking about something and I never completed it. I haven't watched the video back yet, but it wouldn't get out of my head. And that's always a sign that I need to talk about it. And then right away, the movie I started watching was about the same kind of thing as what I was talking about. So, or about what they were, kind of showing me what I needed to say or talk about it. So anyways, this is what I'm talking about. Okay, so when I was younger, and I was talking about the first house, that I lived at, and I was talking about the maids coming, and I didn't ever finish my point about having maids, which and I said, a lot of people had maids back then, which a lot of people did have maids back then, because it was actually, some people's job, that's what they chose to do, was to go and clean other people's houses so that they can make money. They've kind of, made that into a corporate thing now, like, businesses that do cleaning and the chemicals and stuff they use. But anyways, before it was just women who wanted to have a job to go make some money and then go clean someone's house. And there was plenty of women who didn't want to clean their own house. I mean, I don't want to clean my own house. If I could, I would have somebody come do my cleaning all the time. So, and there's people who love to clean, they get lost in their cleaning. One of my daughters, she's so like, oh my gosh, like she does intensive cleaning. Oh, and she's very scheduled. Like once a week, we have to do an intensive cleaning. And, some people like that. They really enjoy, really getting to the crust of things and really keeping things clean. I'm just not like that. I take after my mom. So anyways, the thing I was going to say was the reason I had brought up about the maids wasn't to say, hey, we had a maid. It was because the maids would get scared. They were running out of our house all the time, and they'd refuse to come back because the ghost was very active during the day while we were gone at school. And who knows where my mom was? Maybe laying by the pool. I don't know. Maybe out shopping, having lunch with her friends. I'm not really sure where she was. And my dad was probably at the bar. But they would be in the house cleaning. And my mom would get this story from them all the time because they would refuse to come back. And they would be like, they heard somebody walking around the house. They went and started looking. They couldn't find anybody. Someone was in the kitchen rattling the pans around. They couldn't find anybody. And they would get freaked out and run out of the house and would never come back. And that was what I was going to say, because I was telling about the first ghost house I lived in. So that was what my point was about having the maids. But now what I want to talk about with the maids is because, like, for me, so in my reality, we had maids. In my reality, we had, how much ever money we had, whatever my lifestyle was, whatever my experience I was going through, that was my reality. My reality, having a pervy dad, teenage parents, having how many siblings I had, the whole dynamic throughout the experience that I was going through. And if I opened myself up to it, then I was seeing things, I was understanding things, I was getting a closer look at an experience. So if I was tuned in to my reality, then I could see, I'm living different than other people. There's other people, like in Africa, that was one thing that was thrown up to us all the time when I was a kid. You have to eat all your dinner. The African kids don't have food. And I would always be thinking, like, how do we just sit around like it's going to help if I eat all my dinner? Then it's going to help them? Like, I could never, like, get the idea of, like, how are we helping them by eating all our dinner. Why they don't have any dinner? Why can't we go and give some of our dinner to them? Like, I couldn't understand like this whole idea. But there's different people on the same planet having completely different experiences, in all of these different countries. And I started finding out about, like, in Syria, you see any of the footage of like what those people lived through. There's bombs going off over their head and stuff, and you see kids just out there sitting and playing like nothing, like they're so used to bombs going off. They don't even run for the hills. They don't do anything, just sit there and play. And can you imagine getting to the point where you have to cut off those noises, those sounds. You have to detach from your fear of that and just sit there and accept it. It's part of your reality. So, there's all these different people living different realities. There's people, at the same time, I have a nice big fancy house, and, my parents may be weird or whatever, but a lot of people would think, oh, I don't care. As long as I had a big fancy house, I wouldn't care if my parents were weird. Fuck it. I do whatever. You think that. And, you think about, like, at the same time, I'm living like that. There's some other teenager who's living as a homeless kid, who's having to go through, what is it like to not have a home at all? And then, so these different realities are happening for different people. And so then when you go through this reality, right, and you are going through this experience, so mine having something and then somebody else not having something, you'll be learning the same lesson. The collective has lessons that it's learning. So you're coming in to learn these various lessons at different times of an age. So you come in so you can be learning the same kind of lessons in totally different experiences. And one of the things that I find that is really kind of fascinating about the whole thing with experiences is that let me think how to word this. It was coming in my head so strong. Okay, so you are, you're going through your experience. Oh, okay, so one of the big things about learning the experience is because you don't know what you would do unless you're in a certain situation. Going into that situation shows you what you would do. Like, there's a lot of people who think, oh, I would never do that. That's evil. I would never do that. But then you go through an experience and all of a sudden you see, like, oh, so you're not really evil. You can be pushed into doing certain things that you feel are against your moral fiber. What does it take to get you to be a certain way? So you go through these experiences so you can learn to see yourself. That's the whole thing. When it doesn't make sense, like, why would we be here reflecting ourselves to ourselves? Why would we be here? Like, what would we be learning? Because you're learning through those kind of experiences. Because then you begin to accept. You go through enough experiences, enough challenges, and then you see, like, there is no good or bad. Anybody can be pushed into doing anything. And that's what this movie, what I was watching, kept bringing it up. Because it was these... I think it was a true story, but if it wasn't this particular one, this is a true story amongst souls. This happens. So it was a rich boy, and he has a rich girlfriend, but he also likes this poor girl, so he's going and sleeping with her. Well, she lives a much more real life. The ones that are living, the rich kids, they're living like their parents are phony. They start seeing the hypocrisy. They see how people act to each other. You get a different perspective when you live in certain realities if you're paying attention. And so he decides he likes this other girl and starts sleeping with her. She gets pregnant, and then he can't let that interfere with his new plans. He's about to go to college. You can't have a baby. I can't be with you. I've got a girlfriend. So his best option is just to murder her because he doesn't know what else to do. I got to just murder her. This is like what souls do over and over and over through these different experiences that they come in to learn about, is they find out, like, I can also kill somebody. I can also do evil things. Push me to the limit and you'll find out what I can do. Like, souls find that stuff out. That's what releases us from judging each other. We know it's the situation. Anybody can be, drawn in to do something dirty. It depends on what is going on. And when a soul is going through that, it's so that they can learn about it. And so in this one, he kills the poor girl, and then it becomes this thing between these poor people and rich people, and like the wrong side of the tracks. And of course they're trying to throw the rich guy under the bus, because they're lower class. And some of these kids, how they would talk about the people who didn't have money, it's like, you get your view of other people through the people around you. And if it's your parents that are really influential over your outlook, you've got to define your own self, your own outlook, and this girl was doing that. The other girlfriend, the one that was alive, he decided he needed to kill her because she figured it out, because it was really funny too, because in the movie, all these things keep happening. Every time she'll think of something, then all of a sudden, like that girl's poster would pop up, or suddenly she would get a phone call. It was like you could see like the spiritual world working to try and get this girl to keep thinking about this, keep looking at this. Don't let it go away. Pay attention. And they do that all the time. When you start paying attention, you'll see they're constantly trying to communicate with you. And so they kept giving her communication. They didn't make that a thing in the movie. That was just, they just made like coincidentally. But there is no coincidence. And so, it was showing really good how these kids, the rich kids, how they were so snotty, like looked down on these people because they had less money, the way they would talk about them and stuff. And that is, what every soul has to come in and see for themselves. They've got to see, what do certain situations bring out in me? Who am I in these certain situations? And I still can't say like why there's certain people who come in to things of, like what these kids have gone through. I would think, in my understanding of souls and soul experiences, is that there was a lot of kids coming in and letting these things happen to them, so that we would start to notice the numbers. We would start to notice how bad this really is. I just saw, it was in that movie when the mom is like, where's my daughter, to the cops, find my daughter. And how many people have gone through this experience of like, there's tons of missing kids. We can't just focus on this. They're running away all over the place. Well, then when you start finding out, the huge kidnapping and what they do, in these words you can't say, like when there's traffic jams, what happens with all these kids. And then when rich people need new parts, and then what they use these parts, they can grow a whole new animal to feed us. Like they've got things going on. There's a reason why they do the things they do. And but now when we know, like, the kids weren't just going missing. There wasn't billions of kidnappers out there. Well, there ended up being a lot of kidnappers, but they were making money, huge amounts of money, by taking them and selling them. And so that has all been exposed. So I would think there was a lot of kids that were going through that. So it would bring it to the surface. So we would have to see. It would have to be in our face. And it sounds horrible and tragic. And, you don't want to hear the screams of a scared child. But, I think it was all to move humanity into a new space of being. Move out of that kind of, we just accept kidnapping. They have to put pictures on milk cartons now, all of that stuff. We weren't ever questioning it. It had to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse for us to begin to question things and begin to look for something deeper. But anyways, when you think about like why Why would I come in for this experience or that experience? You learn so much from every experience. You learn who you are. You learn about this world. You learn about your place and how you act and react and interact with everybody. And that shows you who you are. So that's why you project yourself into these situations, because it's for your own expansion. And how we can all be learning the same kind of lessons during the same kind of age, but we're learning different aspects of lessons. We're learning them from different angles, different perspectives. We're all getting different views of the same lesson. And as our knowledge becomes a collective, we all put that knowledge together. That's why it's so important to bring in unity. And they want to keep us divided because they know how much stronger we are when we're together. And all of our connection energetically, how much wiser it makes us, how much more connected and how much more loving. And it moves us into a more dominant state of being, especially over them. I mean, you can see what they do right now to try and survive, like throwing each other under the bus, and it's every man for yourself. That's the kind of energy that they are. We're coming together, they're falling apart. And it is, it's part of this cosmic process to move us into a new age. So it all has reason, it all has purpose, but that is what the whole thing is about when you have these different lives that people are living. You start just seeing what it is that people are actually learning from each other. And in this movie, where the guy had to, at the end, he got charged and is going to prison and stuff, and then he gets that minute to, what? This morning is weird out here. Oh, that's a person walking. But like one of those planes went over. It was like 5 or 7 minutes. Like I've never heard anything like it. I don't know what in the hell is going over us that you can hear it so loud for so long. It's like, I don't know. I know stuff is going on. I don't know to what degree this fighting is going on or what's going on over our heads. It's definitely not just they're not just spraying when they do that. There's something else happening. I just don't know what. And another weird thing is when I go out and I start just trying to film, like if I'll look out, I'll start seeing, I won't see it when I'm looking. I don't see anything. It just looks like sky. But then I'll watch the video back and I see flashes. I was like, weird. Like, what is this reality? What is this world? How much are we really in for some real big surprises? So anyways, just keep that in mind when you think about different experiences of what people are trying to learn. Start paying attention. Like I said, all the different movies, the stories, which is the hero's journey, I think. I was trying to think of it the other day. I think it's called the hero's journey. It's like when everything seems lost and it goes the other direction. And it is, the story from long ago they've been telling, but it's the heroes. It's the souls' stories that they tell. If you go in and you watch movies and you think of those people as souls and what they're learning from each other and how it all gets broken down and how each person is learning. And then you think about that group coming in another experience, playing different parts it could be a totally different age. It could be totally different. Doesn't have to be like they're the same family. It's completely different, but they will play a certain part. Everybody will play a certain part, like in the play, when you get your part. That is the same kind of thing when you come down with your soul group to play out a situation that you are trying to learn about yourself. So you want to see, like, what would I do in this situation? What would I do in that situation? And that's why I say focus on love and light. Because when you focus on self and ego and stuff like that, you'll find yourself doing things that are only going to make you feel worse. You want to, it sounds kind of selfish and stuff, but you're going to want to feel good. You want to feel good about yourself. So you got to think about what things make me feel good. Well, when I do nice things for people, when I am there and I'm not yelling at somebody and I listen to them or whatever, each of us is individual, but focus on the things that make you feel good about you. You know, you don't have to be fighting with people all the time and trying to get people to, you know, like listen to what you think or something. It's just like, you know, everybody's going to see life through their own vision, and there's nothing you can do about that. And it's up to each soul to expand their vision and expand their understanding. And so, you know, just as long as you are expanding yours, you'll start to feel better, because you'll start thinking, you know, things make more sense. And, you know, but that really, to me, really shows like how we all are in our own realities, even if we're sharing space. So just think about things deeper. Just look at things deeper. Go outside of the box. And I will talk to you later. Bye.